to promote Apple.
Yeah.
Physically
They
can't
want
get
to come and sponsor
So true that.
sponsor the
isn't it?
podcast. That would be
How many Apple products?
yeah. Particularly, it's probably lose the time when they drop the car.
The electric car. That
Yeah.
they're doing, yeah.
Oh, it's God.
I did see that. Do you know why are they actually? Do you know why they dropped it? Does anybody?
Yes, we do know why.
I just saw it. I
Because
haven't
what's
looked
the point
into
in focusing on something that's probably going to fail and nobody wants an electric car anymore? Anyway, that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah, I got a good little segment on that, AJ.
Okay,
we can
Curtis.
touch on.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit to talk about today, which is quite exciting. Money Talks, as Curtis said, is more... Is it actually the title of episode 1 of Drive to Survive?
It is,
You
it is.
F1 fans out there.
All about
Money Talks.
all about.
Oh, I did
Stroll.
see that. Yes,
Oh, we
you
did?
told me.
Okay,
You
okay.
did tell me. You told me.
Yeah.
Told me.
All
And
about
also,
the Stroll family.
did you see? I don't know if I sent it to you, but on Market Watch, Money Talks.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
See,
we need
it's
to
the
actually get the
thing.
logo and copyright the
Yeah,
Money
I think we
Talks thing.
do.
More than even Freedomimpact
Yeah,
Trust. I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
it's going to take over, that's for sure.
People are nicking it.
Yeah. Why is everyone nicking it? It's a great name, I'll tell you.
That's
It just
why.
makes sense. It just
right.
It just works. That is for sure.
You're welcome.
Okay, so today we've got quite a lot of exciting things. I'll do a quick little rundown, little roundup of today. I know Kurt, you've got some things you want to talk about. Wes, you've got some
Yes.
things. But overall, we've got the public opinion of big bosses, CEO Kathy Woods with ARK, investing, selling. Some bosses are like, we need to get out, stay in. What does that really mean?
Okay.
Some of it's a bit scary. Some of it's a lot of money, or maybe not a lot of money to them, but an eye-watering amount to us. NVIDIA growth, earnings.
Yep.
A bit of that because that is
Round of applause for them.
round of
Yeah.
applause. Facts and figures just actually mind-boggling.
Mind-blowing.
At that extreme
Mind-blowing.
amount of size of companies.
Speed and cadence.
It's not like you're taking 2 to
Unbelievable.
4. You take, anyway, we've got the numbers for you.
What's
Electric cars, are they dead or are they just starting by BYD cutters?
It's a
Are they
fad.
dead?
It's a
Apple
fad.
dead?
It's a 20-yard to 30-year fad.
Okay. How would you spend? Where's 61 million? When that couple thought they won £2.50 or something, then they realised,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
they've actually won 61 million, which
Same
is
life, double life, triple life changing
Mad, isn't
money.
it?
it's pretty epic.
insane.
And then I know this is kind of maybe a couple of weeks old, but following on from LYFT, making that mistake, that extra zero, making a massive mark in there. But I want to talk about a little
Actually,
bit.
this was his 6-word answer to this. It was, it's a lesson in emotional intelligence. That's what he said about it.
Who said that?
That's what the CEO said about the mistake on LYFT.
Well, we'll
when
talk
I
a bit
first
more
read it, I was
about
like, what is that?
what he wants to say, but also plus a bit more on insider trading because of pre-story to follow into that because there's some hilarious things that have been happening on social media. I say hilarious, but quite interesting things.
Okay.
Like,
Interesting.
well, they are. This social media is funny
It is.
because
Very strange place.
the
Say that again.
You
Where's
guys
blimmin'
live
hell?
there.
Yeah.
but the funniest thing is when something that's happened that's serious, and
Yeah.
you're like, wait, is this a joke or is this real life? And you realise it's hilarious because it's actually real life.
Because it's real. Yeah,
It's somebody's
Numbers
actually done
to
it.
a lot of things social media has. I'll tell you that.
And
Numbers
then
to
that
a
other
lot of
fact that I
things.
saw, which was a bit scary, like seeing the human population growth graph, which I showed you last week.
Yeah,
It was kind of
yeah.
like on another trajectory. What was it? I've got something wrote down here. The global human population reaches 8 million in mid-November in 2022.
Do you mean billion?
8 billion. Sorry,
Say,
8
you're missing a few
billion.
people there, AJ.
Yeah, half population's gone. COVID wasn't that bad. So 8 billion in mid-November of 2022 from an estimated 2.5 billion in 1950s. Like when you
absolutely insane.
like
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah.
And there's that great website that shows like we are technically using like 1.7 times Earth's population renewable goods, food,
In terms
like
of fuel, fossil fuel,
just everything. Like
what the earth can give.
that's a bit scary. And then something else that I did see on social media. This is actually more of a serious one. I don't know if you've seen
Well,
this.
actually, can I just jump
Yeah,
on that?
yeah.
Because I just read something the other day briefly, and it was about they finally found a solution using AI and then nuclear reaction. They've finally created more energy than what they've put in to create the energy using AI. Apparently, it can calculate 300 times
So
faster.
you mean like Iron Man with his little arc reactor?
Yeah.
I think I think I
so
picked
it's
up on
just
this.
come up on this. Now, if
I think
that
it's-
comes into fruition,
Might have been a presentation from an
That-
AI fund, to be
yeah,
honest. I've
because if that
seen.
comes into
But
fruition, that
yeah.
will literally be life-changing for the world.
Yeah.
But you know what will be life-changing for the world?
Throw it at me.
This will really be life-changing.
Throw it at me.
So this came out the other day.
Which world?
Wait, you're on about Elon Musk's
No,
Neuralink
no,
finally
no,
done
no.
a human
This is
trial?
evil.
Social media again.
No, this is for the American world. Wendy's plans to introduce surge pricing at its menus, locations, timing, demand.
Yeah,
so in
seen
2025,
Whoa,
report
whoa.
from the Daily Mail, the CEO obviously talks about some enhanced features and suggesting selling things. But you know, you get an Uber, you get a surge price. So say you're going to get your food from Wendy's, whatever you get.
So between your
surge
lunchtime
price.
hours, your 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, you've doubled your price.
But what's scary? Imagine if, okay, it's going to work. You know it'll work.
Will it work if people know it's happening for something like a Wendy's, an
I'm
Uber
with Wes.
thing? Because you
have to do it.
You
Let's
need
speak
it.
to Curtis on
Got to
this
have
one.
it at that time.
Kurt needs his food on
Wendy's?
time.
Right.
You'll have a choice, right?
If Wendy's is the only thing in your location, 100% it will work. People will still go to it. It's fast food and it's still cheaper than most restaurants. But I am actually maybe with Wes on this. I don't think that will work if people know. I think because the other chains are just as good, McDonald's, your Burger Kings, all of these other things,
Okay.
I think people will go down
But there's
that route.
already a surcharge on if I'm ordering food from a delivery or something. You can have standard delivery or you can
yes.
upgrade
Yeah,
the
but the
delivery on
difference
your
is,
McDonald's
yeah.
to bring it faster. All they're doing is that, but in real time.
But the difference is you sat at home, you press a
Yeah,
button, your food comes to you and it turns up. You don't have to drive to a restaurant. It's much more convenient, much more easy. So people don't mind paying a surcharge.
I'll
on
hit
them elements.
another reason why it'll work again. Fast track.
Go on.
What?
You go to Alton Towers, you go to your
Right,
Disney,
yeah.
you pay more for...
100%.
So imagine you're going there, you're like, oh, okay, well, they're not going there because there's a surge price. Oh, there's less of a queue. I'll go to that
go
one.
there.
I'll pay an extra couple of quid.
But how do they measure surge price? If people, if people are using others and then all of a sudden...
Well, but your time pro rata won't be. If it takes Wes standard 3 minutes to order your food,
Yep.
okay, so I need to make sure that within that 6 minutes, whoever the person is taking the 6 minutes,
Yep.
AJ, I have to charge him double the amount for the service charge. So it'll be worked on like that,
Okay.
that
Yeah,
statistic of that
yeah,
time,
yeah.
won't it?
Three-
Like
three
time
minutes.
value.
3 minutes is what they want to get every single meal out.
I suppose for me.
Yeah,
It's had the
I'll take
Starbucks
that.
next to Ironmarket. The Starbucks are around there.
Yes,
where
yeah,
they have
around
the
the corner.
timer up for the
Yeah.
drive-through. If they're over
Yes, they
3
do,
minutes,
that's right,
it
yeah.
goes red, and
That's
then
right.
they start
Yeah, they
getting
do.
into the
They do.
negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
And
you
they measure
could
internals,
say
don't they?
surcharge is already being in place on fuel stations. You may say, oh, I need fuel, but if you go to certain, I know that I can go to certain fuel stations here
What's
and
a
save
fuel
lot,
station?
lot of, hey, you start to pay to electricity, the
not
electric
EVs.
car. Hey, if you stop at a fuel station, the electric charging points on certain ones are nearly as expensive as petrol.
Actually, you know what, Wes?
Can be. I've not found it. to be
Have
honest,
you
but it
had
can be.
trouble? It seems like you do have an electric car.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
Have you ever had trouble finding a charging port, anything like this? Run out of fuel,
Perhaps
electric.
in a couple of times in 6 years of ownership.
Yeah.
And again,
Well, that's enough, Wes. That's enough, all right.
that's definitely not a good enough
Bring
reason.
in synthetic
to
fuels. Give
draw
me
it
an
back.
engine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we
Yeah,
do
yeah.
love
Yeah.
a good meme. So this was sent from you, Wes. Not so much a meme maybe, but CEO JP Morgan, he's sat down there, his nice warm gloves on, and he says, "Oh, how do you know there are only going to be
Bitcoin.
21 million Bitcoin? How do you actually know?"
Oh no, what he said is so when everyone gets the 20 million or 21 million Bitcoin that are out there, what's the name of the guy? I can't think of the owner of Bitcoin, is it? Or
The Satoshi.
Satoshi, sorry,
the
yeah.
creator, yeah.
How do we know he's not just going to laugh and then wipe everyone's Bitcoin clean, disappear and just smile?
Well, when you weren't here,
And
Kurt,
I was
said,
listening to that and I was thinking, oh my God, imagine if that actually happens.
But
billions, all of this.
you know when you play them games when we were younger, it's like low end games, and you got to like level 100, it went ha, and you thought, what have I played the game for?
Yeah.
Is that Bitcoin?
And again, going back a bit, there are you should go and listen to this selection of podcasts from Trillions, which is a bunch of guys from Bloomberg. Balachunas and a bunch, amazing. But they really do help you understand exactly how it was created, what the blockchain is, how it's mined in a lot of detail, and a lot of that's faded now. But there is a point of that. The whole point is that it's anonymous. You don't really know, and it's on a chain. You don't know where ownership is.
We've actually wrote a book out called The Blockchain for Babies. So
Is
that's
it really?
on social media, yeah.
Is that not like one of those guys that, something for dummies?
Yeah, I think it is. Truthfully, yeah. That's why I was reading it.
Wes. Blockchain for babies. Why not?
And I had to say, Mark Zuckerberg's done more press, I feel like, in the past week than I've seen
absolutely
ever. And he even went into to get a takeaway and just wore his like Ray-Ban Meta glasses just to prove that they are good quality.
But again,
wow.
I think between he must have been, and I know obviously he's been very the video where he's literally sitting there talking about how much better Quest is than the Vision Pro. That is so out there, for somebody like that. But obviously the previous experience of Zuckerberg was his famous metaverse kind of pitch in video, which was absolutely painful. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. But for somebody like that, and obviously they're in competition, but they, as a bunch of companies, they are literally the world right now. For him to come out and do something like that as a CEO and be so overtly, this one's not so good.
It's like somebody just sat down, done the round tables. He's doing
a little bit,
doing the rounds on the masses, things like that. It's incredible, isn't it?
Does that mean that he's worried?
You kind of want Cook to come out and do it now, and Jeff Bezos to come back and
no, you see Tim walking down the street doing his arms and it's like flicking away.
The likelihood is it's probably already been an episode of Simpsons.
Oh, because it has. Have you seen the Vision Pro?
Everything, don't they? Vision Pro, yes.
That Vision Pro one. That was crazy.
That's scary though. The old Simpsons. Matt Groening is he a time traveler? What's the whole
so
situation?
Much of that
What's
that
the
they
conspiracy?
Call. It's incredible. Yeah, absolutely incredible.
That would be an epic room to sit in. They must have a vision board for everything.
Yeah.
Every aspect, every outplay of what possibility could ever happen.
You're probably right. I mean, we talk about like CEOs of Facebook and Apple and being part of that, but actually just being in the room of Simpsons.
Yeah, but like
innovative thinkers. That's the thing, and I think that's why they come up with these
things.
I think you're right.
But if you think
accidentally get the right things,
if you went on mentality being like, okay, a car's got 4 wheels, let's just put 6 wheels on it. Then let's put 2 wheels on it. Then let's put no wheels on it.
Well, they tried
like
3.
But what I'm saying is like, say you just did every logical possibility that you could be in. Okay, now we've got no feet. We just hover around, or they will just do it, and you're going to hit something. It's physically impossible not to hit something.
I guess so.
True.
Yeah.
They are future thinkers.
And with the success and the remit they had, they just had full freedom.
And I do have to bring this one up, Curtis, because it's made me laugh, and I was going to send it to you. Woman loses $650,000 in injury claim after being seen tossing a Christmas tree.
What?
Like a Christmas tree, you know where you throw Christmas trees? She had an insurance claim for being injured, and she lost the $650K because there was a photo of her sent to the insurance company because she was trying to.
So she was trying to claim, but then they've seen her throwing a Christmas tree.
So she's got an insurance claim going through.
Your legs are working and your arms are fine.
Yeah, I took it back. Sorry, that was a very side swipe. So, yeah, let's get on to Money Talks.
Actually, one last little thing. I did see something on social media as soon as I ran about that. It was a Powerball winner. They put the balls on, the incorrect numbers on for 3 days, incorrect on the website. And he had the numbers that were on the website, and now he's suing them for, I think, 300 million. Yeah. Don't know if he's going to win. Probably won't. But
litigious society we're in now, sadly. Claims.
3 days thinking
you'd be heartbroken, wouldn't you? Genuinely.
He's done a shopping list.
The rest of his year is just out.
Spent it.
Anyway.
Oh, God, that would be scary. Yeah.
Let's get into it. Welcome to Money Talks. All opinions expressed by Wes Wilkes, AJ and Curtis Pritchard, and any guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of IronMarket, Wealth, or FINT. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and should not be relied upon for any investment decisions. This is not financial advice. So I want to start off with Wes, CEO. This was from this little article was from CEO Watch List.
Okay.
And this was the photo, Kathy Woods, ARK Investment, and fundamentally the headline was like destroying 14 billion in wealth over the past decade.
Yeah.
How, as a wealth manager, as somebody that handles people's money, how would you even approach that scenario of being like, okay, am I gonna do a complete rewind? Am I gonna go back to the board? Am I gonna think? Because her stock price looks, well, if you look at it,
I think you've got to really know and think about who we're talking about. First of all, that headline, the whole word destroy, is there to get people clicking, and
of course, I've read the clickbait,
and that is what it is. Yeah, we know that. Kathy Wood has an investing style. And Cathy Wood's investing style is growth, high growth, tech. You know she's a huge advocate of Tesla and has been from the early days, a huge advocate of NVIDIA from the early days. She has a style, and styles, investing in styles and investing in environments and landscape of investing changes. Warren, we didn't see a headline like that during the high growth phase of 2020, 2021, when perhaps Warren Buffett wasn't doing quite so well. Right? Yeah. But Cathy is very overt and clear about her investing style. And as I say, sometimes it's in vogue, sometimes it's out of vogue. And I think with that, so you would, from a wealth management perspective, knowing that's that style of that particular fund or asset class or ETF, then you would have that as part of your portfolio, either when you think the time is right for that, or as a proportion, thinking long term. So it's not something you have all your eggs in.
You know what she is, you know what she stands for, and if you go into her, you're going to be like, okay, I'm maybe taking a risk, so I'm not going to put like my whole life into. I'd put a percentage in. I feel comfortable knowing that there's going to be a slight volatility of ups and downs.
Absolutely, yeah.
Your eyes are open.
Exactly.
And you know what to expect.
All with a pinch of salt there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's high growth, cash burn, but knowing and think it's all about the future. So Cathy's thing and the analysts and the great minds, in fairness, she has within ARC and the wider team are focused on the future. It's all about the future. So you accept that as that volatility as part of
working for her.
Yeah, you have that in your portfolio, knowing that that's then 10, 15, 20 years and knowing that that's the case. And some of, with other styles like Warren Buffett, who's a, value, I guess you would say that, just buys great companies for the best price he can and holds them forever.
Only buy something that you want to buy more of, even if it goes down. Sort of mentality.
And he really keeps himself in the game as well. Keeps all of his money invested, doesn't he?
Absolutely, always been the case. Absolutely, yeah. And that's kind of proven to be a phenomenal approach as well. There's more. It's like everything else. In there's when you guys are dancing, there's different types of dance that you might choose to win a particular competition. There's different styles of investing. There's different ways of playing football. There's different ways of doing all things in life. And I think they are very clear and confident in their way of doing investing or carrying out investing.
Talk about like people investing in stuff and actually selling off stocks. See all the top CEOs like Jeff Bezos, Meta, and all this that seem to be selling off compared to the amount of stocks they have. Not a lot, but billions in terms of.
Well, Jeff's not the CEO anymore. Just to make that
clear. well said, to be fair.
But
all these guys selling it off. What? Yeah. Why do you think they're selling loads?
Well,
of
let's give some more numbers on that just before we can
go on.
So,
do you get the picture there, son?
I don't. I've got the information that's enough here. So, JP Morgan's. I always forget his name.
Jamie Dimon.
Why don't? It's because I see the J and then my brain goes, the dyslexic just goes, no. So 822,000 shares, which for him, 150 million. Mm-hmm. We're going on the up here. Zuckerberg, 1.8 million shares, 400 million. Yep. And then Jeff, 50 million shares of Amazon. 8.5 billion.
That's a lot of money.
Wes said something before, Curtis, when you weren't here. Wes, what did you say, Wes? Say to me what the 8.5 billion would be for him from you as a wealth perspective side.
Oh, was it? Well, he's drawing down on his retirement plan. As far as
I was just going to say this. Is this the reason they're doing it? Do you think?
Is this, well, Jeff in particular,
and because all of their stocks are so high at the minute, aren't they? This is the thing. Do you think
combination
they are
of
trying
those
to
things?
Just,
they're doing really well.
It's so high in case it drops a bit.
They've absolutely flown. Things that, the particularly the last 3 months. I've got some charts on that myself, but the last 3 months have been, since kind of the October lows really in 2023, but particularly the last 2 or 3 months, their stocks
of February they absolutely just started dumping,
almost parabolic.
You can't say the word dumping.
No, I can't. You are correct.
Because absolutely not.
It's a small amount in comparison to what they do have. Yes,
they're just putting some to the side. Jeff may want to buy another 10 boats.
But to us muggles, muggles, that's a lot.
But it's part of his drawdown retirement plan. Like I say, very different. It is different though. And I understand the point. It is different for someone like Jamie Dimon. But then, having said that, Jamie Dimon is the CEO of JP Morgan,
Yeah.
is responsible for the success.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal business leader. Doesn't like Bitcoin, but he's a phenomenal business leader, and he's arguably the most important bank, certainly in the US, maybe in the world. And he's what if he's the CEO of JP Morgan, they've had a really good time. The stock price does what it does, and he doesn't take some off the table. Would you question? Would you have a look at it then and say, actually, does he?
Yeah.
Why isn't he doing that?
Yeah.
Why is he not doing that?
I think one thing you have to look at in their sort of worlds, like our level of wealth, I go out for dinner or I go something like that. In their levels of wealth, like the amounts are so much higher in everything they
Absolutely,
do.
yeah.
So even here we got that photo, big bank CEO compensation, like CEO Morgan Stanley 37 million, JP Morgan like he takes 36 million, Goldman Sachs 31 million, Bank of America 29, Wells Fargo 29 million. Like for him to even pull out 150 million, like as you said, it would be a bit weird if he didn't put some in his own bank account.
And also the other side of that, what you mustn't forget is a lot of their compensation when they agree to take these jobs and take these roles, particularly in the US, it's rife in the US, is most of their compensation is stock based.
Yeah.
So when they agree to say, there'll be X salary, which is a lot of money, plus stock compensation. So that's their bonus. That's their kind of rewards. And I'm not underplaying the size of this.
Getting that cash.
I'm not underplaying the size of it. And I know, from a,
but
it's eye-watering amounts of money.
If I got options in something and a company's doing well or something, for you as our advisor, you'd say, well, maybe just take the money that like you've made something. You don't. It could go down. It may go up. Either or, good or bad. It's sensible to take something and put it into your bank account to secure yourself.
Yeah, and we even at our level, we don't within our strategies at iMarket, we don't have single equities, but equally within the strategy we have, we rebalance, and that's a similar thing. We might have an element. So, for example, the Nasdaq has done what it's done, and we might be overweight that, for example, and they might get to a point where actually let's rebalance that and spread that back into other assets, because ultimately you're trying to balance that out. You're trying to balance that out and manage portfolios, and he's managed his own, and they are managing their own. And I must admit, I know there can be issues about how much these people get paid, right?
Well, in comparison to like almost the size of the companies, the size of this and what they do. Yeah, to us it sounds absolutely phenomenal, but it's sort of justifiable in a weird way, I feel.
What do you think? Do you read much about kind of what they get paid and the views on it? The big bank CEOs.
More to the point, I hear more stories on being like, okay, let's say Warren Buffett doesn't take a massive wage, and the money is back within the company. Not that his outgoings are crazy, and can probably all of his things are business expenses anyway. So why would I? What's the point in me giving myself a massive wage to then pay the government? I would be on that side. I'd be like, what's my purpose? Is to increase my stock price. I think there should be a wage there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then when a wage is getting to a certain point, a wage is on one side.
56 billion.
And then you can use that wage to then if he got a bigger wage, it'd be investing back into the company anyway.
Yeah, quite. I mean my challenge is and I do understand it's eye-watering amounts of money, and it's kind of difficult to fathom at times. But if you're 50 million as the CEO of, say, a JP Morgan, who are, as a firm, really important to the function and the structure of the world. I mean, I won't get into how people view banks, all that kind of stuff, but ultimately they are, frankly.
They hold a lot of things together. And it would be weird if he didn't get paid, 30 million, 50 million. The number's a bit hypothetical. Let's say it's 100 million. It would be weird if that person controlling the bank and holding a country together, because they do in a weird way. As you said, argument, interest rates up, down. And then I know how much Messi gets paid, and I know how much. Well, Taylor Swift's on the whole other end.
Yeah, exactly my point.
In industries, you understand what people have made. It's a pretty important job.
Yeah,
you can't deny it.
I love sport, love music, I love everything else. But it's an important job.
Branding
and it comes with
wise,
all the things with that and the
That's
stress
a
of that.
very
and all.
good point when you look at that compared to someone like, for example, last week we were talking
Well,
about
you've
Lewis
got-
Hamilton
you've got
and the
to-
Ferrari. It's 400 million.
Exactly.
You
my
have
point.
to
It's a very
level a
good point,
playing
yeah.
field. Like
100 million
we
a year.
understand,
Yeah.
like sports entertainment keeps people driving, branding, large companies behind the scene. At the end of the day, them large companies are probably borrowing from these banks. And it's a very
Quite.
circle.
Sounds a real incestuous situation there.
There's a lot of patting on the back, isn't there?
Well, there's a lot that they influence or are in control of or are important for.
Yeah.
And
they're in the rooms where they understand I can probably invest in this, it's going to help. It's the argument the same with, like, you see, how can the US Senate be allowed to do technically inside trade on information they know that's going to come out before everybody else? Like,
You're talking about Nancy Pelosi now, aren't you?
she's got her own app. Well, it's not run by
Well,
her.
she's on her own ETF. To be honest, I'd buy it.
You can even get notifications up on it. Have you seen it?
Yes,
So you
I've
can get
seen it,
notifications up on it, and it will automatically trade off what she trades straight away.
It's
And
just copying her.
Yeah.
a copy trade.
Yeah.
And the guy in California
called?
made the app.
Yeah.
I was like, it's amazing because her returns. Well, talking about Kathy Woods. Well, just follow Nancy. You'd be winning.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, but I think there is a certain amount with a wage, and I think if somebody's going to do a job, the one reason why you pay them so much is that they have the responsibility. They're going to get fired.
Absolutely.
They're
Yeah.
not like you can't work for free.
No.
And in
It's a
reality, to the
responsibility.
size of the companies, that is not a lot of money.
No.
Compared to the actual size of the
all
companies.
relative. And,
Yeah.
And they're bloody good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're important. They're
They
very good at
do
what they
hold
do.
it together.
Yeah.
That is one definite thing.
Absolutely.
Curtis, I know you wanted to talk about growth with BYD and cars. and
Yes,
stuff.
yeah.
Wes, have you got some more stuff here to talk about?
No, you're good.
Oh,
It's all good.
I'll go back on these.
Cars.
Is electric a fad? Well, BYD, obviously, they've sold over 3 million cars. That's in 2023, 68% growth, where Tesla, obviously the leading brand at the moment, they sold only 1.8 million with 38% growth. Now, Tesla, they had sort of hit their big peak a while ago. I do understand that. And BYD are wanting to come over to Europe. They said that they wanted to, this was their marketing plan, to create a very, very exclusive car. The price, £236,000 it's going to be. And that's what they're going to bring it for an electric car.
Doesn't this just sound like what
That's
Tesla did?
supercar world, isn't it?
Yes, it does exactly sound
They
like
did
what-
actually with the Roadster.
And
yeah,
this is the
and
thing,
space.
yeah. And the
It was on
Roadster.
Suits on the episode, you know, when they came in and they both were saying that, and Harvey threw him the keys.
Okay.
You see,
Yeah.
the TV got it first.
Yeah.
They did. Suits
Always.
got it first.
Always.
But I was just thinking with all of these growth, and then it made me think, actually, how long is electric really going to be there? So I thought, let's do a little bit of research into some synthetic fuels. So the top people in synthetic fuels at the minute is Shell and then Sasol, S-A-S-O-L. Now, there's 48.4 billion in the current market. By the end of 2030, they want 70 billion in the market. But Porsche have said this. Porsche have said by the end of 2023, they want to put synthetic fuels on sale. Put it out there to the world.
Yep.
Now, if they do this, I think the whole electric market will just start to disappear. It will become a 20-year fad. And I want to hear what you guys think on this. I think the younger
Big call.
generation that are growing up now will still want electric.
Well, at least it's on camera.
They'll still want electric because they've seen the power, the incredible outcomes of electric, how fast they can be. But then eventually, I think as the next generation grows up, they will want engines back. And if a synthetic fuel can show the noise of an engine and give the same performance as electric can, then I believe that will be the future
Yeah,
of all
I don't
vehicles
think you're
and
miles
cars.
away because, I mean, again, I don't know what the future can hold, but I think if you look at, and this is completely off track, but it's not cars, but diggers, right?
Yes.
So JCB,
Yeah.
pretty big over here, but they didn't go electric, they went hydrogen.
Yes.
I believe, and I know I've read a little bit about the synthetic fuel side of stuff.
Yeah, because
one of
the Horu, I'm going to say that I'm butchering this name. The Horu Oni Joint Project it's the world's first largest scale commercial plant to manufacture the fuel.
And the biggest challenge with EV is, of course, battery storage, retention of power, all the problems with putting them in the cars in the first place.
And fire.
Yeah, various other things. Yeah,
Three buzzes in London have gone up now. They haven't put it on the news. 3 buzzes have set a light.
So in
and
terms,
just can't get them out.
that's very
Well,
dangerous because the battery until the
TikTok
battery
shows
burns.
it, but nobody else shows it.
So just think actually in
that's-
terms of
there's a
investing.
conspiracy there because TikTok's ByteDance, which is a Chinese firm.
Yeah.
That's where BYD comes from.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit back to front, isn't it?
I suppose it would be.
Actually, they are a battery
They
brand,
wanna
so yeah.
hide it. don't they?
That's not helping. Yeah.
I think it'd actually be wiser to actually start, invest in electric for now and then think about selling in the next 15 years if it's going to go down this way.
So Wes said one reason why is an electric car for the benefits of tax and stuff
Yeah,
like
of course
that.
it is. Yeah, for business
yeah.
owners, absolutely. Yeah, that's
As soon as the taxes weren't there, you'd make you think
that's
twice.
been of course it would.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's
It works for tax.
and that's what in terms of the value, because one of the big things with Tesla, which is partly affected its share price, whatever Elon does, but is obviously the huge price reductions we've seen over the last kind of year or so, particularly the last year, 18 months.
Second-hand market is crazy.
And particularly in China, where obviously all of a sudden he's got massive competition, should I say. And where was I? What was I talking about? Tesla prices,
share
cars,
prices, gone down.
Tesla dropping the price,
competition.
moved out to China.
Yeah, no,
big
forgotten.
competition. We didn't want to hear it
Do you
anyway.
know why I've forgotten? The reason I've forgotten is I've just got an image of the old Tesla showroom in Birmingham, which I drove past the other day, is now a BYD showroom.
Stop it.
So they're literally taking their market share
Holy cow.
in property.
They are literally robbing
Literally
them.
taking it
all.
from under their rug. Yeah,
And in my head, I thought you were going to say,
yeah.
you've seen the Chinese Elon Musk, that dude.
I know exactly his lookalike.
It's actually hilarious.
Really?
And
I've
he-
not
and
seen
he-
that.
We'll get you a picture of
We'll get a
that.
photo after.
Social media spends far
Well, yeah,
too
no.
much time there.
And Apple obviously announcing not doing electric car. Actually, the market took that in a good way. It was like,
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Focus. Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
on the
Yeah,
synthetic
yeah.
fuel
Well,
bandwagon.
no,
No, they're not. But
it's because I think they thought, Vision Pro's going good, isn't it?
It's almost a little bit like I think it's been that kind of weird way this earnings season, with the exception of NVIDIA, which I know you want to cover anyway, is where kind of good news, unless it was exceptional beats, wasn't particularly treated that well at the start. And bad news was punished quite a bit at the start of earnings season, but it did change going through that. So I think that's the thing with Apple, is maybe shareholders are quite pleased that they're focusing.
It would make sense. Like, if you are
Core.
like, what are you going to be doing in the future? What are you going to open garages to service your cars and put tyres on them?
Where else does this go? Yeah.
Like, where are you going? You quite clearly
You can't do that in the App Store.
an epic model that you can put in your pocket, update it over the air, and suddenly you want to get factories to change tyres. And who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
it's market share.
if they've got the money to try something new, why
They have
not?
also got that. That's true.
Yeah.
Just because you've got the money to do something doesn't mean you should do it.
See, that's the interesting thing as well over the last year, 18 months, as interest rates have done what they've done everywhere, particularly US and UK, I suppose. But the thing with Apple is the amount of cash, the sheer amount of cash they hold. Which is where raising interest rates actually conversely has been a little bit inflationary for somebody like them, because they've started earning money on the cash that they then hold.
So it's working out well.
So then
for
they've been
them.
able to
because I was
deploy
just
that.
going to say,
Like,
why hold the cash?
Doesn't work.
Oh, so it's not working well. Sorry.
Because then they've got too much cash, and then they're earning money, and then it shows like they're making money. They're going to get taxed on that money, aren't they? They need
Apple. They
need to use the
they
money.
make a fortune.
Why aren't they just using?
Yeah.
Why aren't they just using the cash?
Well, they
It's
do
just
deploy
because
it.
they physically have that much that
Yeah,
they just.
they cannot stop making it. Yeah,
That is
frankly,
the problem you
they
want.
cannot stop making enough.
That
of
is a
it.
real
Damn thing.
problem you want.
I don't know the number actually. I can Google it in a minute, but their cash reserves are mind blowing. Even
It was
with
more than
Have a little
the
Google
amount
now.
of the company itself, wasn't it? Or something?
could have been at some point.
Because
Let
then
me
they,
Google it now.
because when they were trying to build their nice circle
Yes, which is a
building,
build,
they were like,
yeah.
okay, let's get the biggest
yeah,
ever.
yeah.
Well,
First thing that comes up: how
Mortgage.
much cash, and then the rest of it reserved does Apple have?
Yeah.
First one.
Yeah, there you go. It's again huge amounts of money.
166.3 billion in cash during its fiscal second quarter in 2023. Yeah. Wow.
That's insane. I mean, I don't.
what bank do you trust?
I do. A few.
Your own bank.
Spread it. Jamie
Literally.
Dimon. But you'd spread it out a bit, I think. But well, again, they'll have relationships, certainly, definitely. But it'd be really interesting to know, and I'll do some work on it for next time, maybe, what that would own. Like just the cash position, where that, if that was a company, where that would put them in like the S&P 500.
How much did you say again?
$166.3 billion.
Because like I said before, like if AirPods in their own right were their own company, they'd be top 7 or 8 in the world, size-wise.
They nailed the AirPods, so I do have to agree. They look good and they are good.
How much was that in cash?
166.3
So
billion.
imagine that going from, let's just picture that in one bank account. Insane. But let's just picture.
A lot of noughts.
Can you picture that?
It's a lot of noughts.
I'm going to put my phone on the side. To get that. My calculator doesn't work.
One of those.
It goes on them ET. I'm like, no. I said I'm on the side now. You know it's big.
Yeah, go plug in screens. But if you did, imagine that going from earning nothing.
Yeah.
Because interest rates were
4%.
to 4%. Exactly. Absolutely mind blowing. Mind
It
blowing.
really is.
Well, we even spoke about.
Do you need to bother with an electric car?
Well, even like
Do you
I've
need
got
to
in front
create a
of me,
new
like,
product?
Yeah, but then why not? If
Kurt,
you've
you
got
still got
that,
Jeff.
just sod it. You might as well
Yeah,
give
yeah,
things a
true.
go.
Going back to Jeff, if he's taking out 8.5 billion, 4% of that off the top of my head, what's that? 350 million. You straight away.
Insane amount of money. Absolutely.
That's
yeah.
£1 million
Per
a day for the year.
Yeah.
Sorted.
Yeah.
Gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
I mean,
Goosebumps.
I think
Kurt's
that's
great.
Can't even say it.
Can't even say it's that big. But like I was saying to you before Kurt came in, if I was Jeff Bezos's wealth manager, financial advisor, open for a conversation.
Help us get 100 views.
Love that.
We'll try anything. But yeah, no, that's all joking aside, is literally part of his plan.
Yeah.
He's moved to Miami.
Yeah.
It's the lifestyle he wants to live.
Save a bit of tax.
And do all the things he wanted. I mean, again, in terms of world richest, I think Mackenzie, I forget her first name, sorry, his ex-wife. She is still in the top 10 richest women in the entire world because of her shareholding of Amazon. It just the amounts are just that.
Well, one
ridiculous.
thing that the nice thing, I have my way with words sometimes. The nice thing to think how much wealth that has created for everybody else, and a point.
How many
you
jobs,
said,
how many everything, how many this and that.
If he's selling 8.5 billion, that's allowing 8.5 billion going into the market, as you said, Wes.
Yeah,
that
whatever
can be taken by a normal person. Well, or 8.5.
Billion
whatever,
people,
whatever the volume of
You know what I
shares
mean?
that is, are back in the market. To be purchased,
Which is maybe a good thing.
And they are, it is. There's more shares available
at a very expensive amount now.
in one of the best companies in the world, and that's people
available. Forget that when you're buying a share, percentage of a share, like you're not just buying a piece of paper, you're actually buying a company,
a part of a company, absolutely.
And when you're buying the best company in the world, like
outside of buying the shares, if you imagine, your pension, your ISA, but even maybe people that are just working for a company, have a pension, don't know a great deal about it, they might have just bought some more shares in Amazon without even knowing. And that's what
because the pension companies have
you're owning some of the best companies in the world, which is why
pretty solid.
is such a good thing.
And there's a lot of growth, and like we saw that one, was it New Mexico? No, in Mexico City, that when I showed you that Amazon center, and it was like brand new built. Again, we spoke about this off camera the other time, like growing markets through Africa and that. It's just endless growth if you really think about it.
Absolutely. And the way that you're talking about business leaders again, the way that Jeff Bezos's vision and how that's now carried on. Originally, they didn't do their own distribution. They had the sellers on there, and they would send the product out. But that experience wasn't the experience he wanted.
The customers deserved a better experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what he wanted.
He took it off them.
Yeah.
And created his own distribution, which we now all see and know everywhere we ever
wonders.
go. And look at the business.
I even went to the Excel this morning, and it was.
Oh, how was it? Was it good?
Yeah, it was really amazing. It was fundamentally a white labeling, manufacturing a lot, and at one end of it was distribution in its own corner, and Amazon did have a pretty epic stand.
I imagine. Yeah, you
don't very good. And they were on a larger scale.
Perhaps that's why you needed 8.5 billion. Stand at the Excel.
About freight, and it was like sheer size and moving. Like you weren't talking. It was like in tons. Like the way they were describing it. I was like, but seeing the way that it was so well it just...
Yeah, it's
how does anybody... You can't compete against it.
Incredible machine.
When something's
really,
grown
really
so
difficult.
well, like you're like, well,
Yeah.
if it works, it works, and if it helps benefit more people, which it does, and help grow it, and think how much wealth he's created for so many people that have stuck with him
Very
from the
much done that.
beginning.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's a good feeling to have.
Yeah,
like for
very,
him,
very much so.
he's on his ships for having a good feeling, not a bad feeling like some other people on them big ships.
Yeah,
It's £500 million ship.
8.5 billion is a good feeling. I would have thought. I certainly wouldn't know.
I'll let you know as in a year, all right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
talking about growth and NVIDIA earnings and annual earnings, Wes, we've got so much to talk about this. But I just wanted to kind of think, like, when people talk about growing their earnings, and let's say you're a smaller company, you go from £1,000 to growing it to £2,000, or 2004, 4 to 8 to... You can double your growth quite easier than small numbers.
Yeah.
For them,
Was it 26 to 50?
from going from 27 billion in 2023 to 61 billion in 2020, 2022 to 2023, 27 to 61 billion. Physically, how do you grow your earnings that much?
Absolutely insane.
I mean, it's the demand of
It's
what's
pure,
happening.
yeah, absolute demand, and
But even more so than demand, can we talk about infrastructure? If we think about it on one side, like the infrastructure's been created through electric cars, through phones in our pockets, through you've got like computers in our pockets, like you get fridges where you can look through your fridge and you need a chip to like
absolutely.
the actual infrastructure that's been created has been created, and now seeing the way that AI has exploded and the way that these marketing softwares can be like, okay, let's create a whole film on a laptop, type in I want a dog jumping from a balcony, and it's being created, it does it.
Yeah. But you've got to credit.
It's come at the right time, hasn't it?
There's part of that. I think they had a huge spurt in growth through COVID. Gaming, obviously, they were known as the gaming chip, and the Bitcoin chip. I
would
guess,
you say,
to a little degree?
ChatGPT spoke about ChatGPT, kind of like powered by NVIDIA. Like it was always. It's worked with a lot of things,
I think what they've done, and this is where the real genius of Jensen Huang is really, and he's kind of, I know Dan Ives, who's a tech analyst in the US, he calls him the godfather of AI, because, and the genius behind him is he is very much thinking ahead in how they then develop within NVIDIA their next chips and their next units, and I can't profess to know anything about the GPU, blah 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 blah.
No.
But the way that they,
but you can understand the value of what the
and
process.
Then the big thing, the thing that I saw in this set of earnings in particular was Q4 data center revenue, 18.48 billion.
And when you say that, okay, is that me saying, okay, I've got my laptops and my phones and all that, and kind of if you got, bring it back down to a normal level, I've got a car, it needs servicing.
Yeah,
is that kind of coming into this sort of basic terminology?
Who we were talking about before with Apple, right?
Yeah.
So iPhone, and then what was built on the back of that was the services element. And so
company.
what he's been really clever about here is
showing the longevity.
Absolutely, in the data center, saying, look, don't just buy the units from us, buy this from us.
Yeah.
And then we're, you buy this
thing from do everything for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then if you think about the other of the Magnificent Seven, Magnificent Six, if you take Tesla out these days, but NVIDIA are powering them. Their growth is exponential. We've got AI that's powering, the AI kind of theme or mega trend that's pushing Microsoft with OpenAI. NVIDIA are powering that. So they're kind of a giant on the back of giants.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So they'll just keep piggybacking
and just blowing up even more.
Yeah, there are other chip firms, and they're doing well on the back of it. ARM Holdings, AMD, they're picking up on the back of it, but they're real leaders because of the way they are seeing how they can further service that market and how they can kind of make themselves indispensable. Like create an ecosystem, like Apple created an ecosystem. You get the iPhone, but when you've got the iPhone, I mean, look at the state of us. You've got this, the AirPods, because they are the experience and using them all
creating
together.
The App Store
is
within
so
it.
Good.
Do you think though it was slightly they were just the ones at the perfect time, and that's why they blew up. Because there were other...
It hasn't happened overnight, has it?
No,
it hasn't.
Not just that. I think there was a timing element to it. Yeah, absolutely. But I think they had the vision and the right product.
Yeah.
They understood
their units
by the sounds
were
of it,
better than the others.
They understood what was coming forward, didn't they?
The servicing element, great element. Yeah.
Well, that's you've got to show future. How do we keep it? How do we engage stock and growth and continue to keep
they're creating, like, the data centers is data centers off a shelf, as opposed to having a data center over here, having their chip in it, somebody else's thing in it. It's off, almost off the shelf thing.
Yeah.
Plus, they've also sold and licensed the blueprints to their chips, allowing other people to make even more, haven't they?
Yeah.
Which is like Tesla, when they were kind of making a lot of money off their stock. They weren't making their money off actually selling the cars. They were making it off selling green tokens to kind
that's
of...
a good point. Yeah.
You see one side, but there's actually a lot happening behind the scenes also.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I thought that was quite an interesting one.
And the stock reaction was really interesting on the day. So, because like I said to you...
What stock price is in NVIDIA now? Do you know?
As of today, I'm not too sure, to be honest, but straight afterwards, it was... it didn't... On the day of the earnings, because obviously they're after hours, on that day it was down 2.83%. And earnings were released, because obviously shares trade after hours anyway, and it was still pretty muted. But then as soon as the earnings call happened, which Jensen obviously takes, and he started talking about the future, which is where things have been, and urging...
They're actually thinking about the future.
Yeah. Their kind of gross margins and where they expect their earnings to be. It was up six. I think it ended up about 14-15%.
$774.
716 on the day.
Is what
So
they are
that's
now,
today. Yeah. So it shot up like 15% after hours, based on what he said.
Yeah.
And this is something that I think fascinates me.
That shows why he is who he is and in the position that he is in.
And we were talking about leaders earlier, and that's why leaders are important. Characters are important. CEOs are important, because ultimately they are going to tell you, or they have the vision. So what people, and it's even accounts for policy and politics, like Jay Powell did at the central bank in the US. When he speaks is often more important than what he does, because people are going to listen to what he says and think about how that's going to impact things going forward.
Yeah.
And obviously Jensen came on the call and talked about where he expects things to be, the growth that he sees, the fact that he still believes we're pretty much at the start of this. And obviously then the stock went kind of parabolic overnight.
Plus them people in them roles, CEO...
We're just at the start.
or like him, for example, here. Like, he's probably the only one person that understands what's happening within every aspect of his company.
Yeah, his vision.
And bringing it together. And I think that's why these people are given the roles they are, because it's not a role that, well... Maybe this is more personal thing. You don't switch off, do you?
No.
That brain is...
Yeah, correct.
It's going.
It's why they found these businesses, because ultimately it comes from an idea and a vision and a belief and something in your heart, not your head. So they will always have that kind of drive. So what they say and how they say it is always going to be phenomenally important. And that's why it's always difficult having transitions, which I guess is testament to people like Tim Cook.
Yeah.
And how well he's done with Apple, but equally, and I can't remember the name now, but the guy that took over from Jeff Bezos and Amazon, because they are such figureheads. Where if another CEO can come in and do well, that's
because it only takes a handful of bad decisions back to back.
Correct.
That you can,
yeah, or maybe even one sometimes. If it's particularly bad
on that bigger side, yeah,
when they're so big. And I made note of this, just very quickly finishing on, just because we've spoke about Tesla and you spoke about Ferrari last time. So NVIDIA increased its value by the value of an entire Tesla in 6 weeks leading up to these results. And then in 10 minutes after the call, the important thing about what he says, NVIDIA grew by the value of a Ford, General Motors and Ferrari.
That is absolutely stupid.
It is.
Facts.
It's too much, frankly. But
ridiculous.
But it is. That's literally where it went.
At what point do I think about buying it? Maybe on the down? Does it just keep going up?
This is the challenge. Yeah, this is the challenge. And I think that's if ever there was an explanation of why you should own the best companies in the world, that's it. And which is why shorting these things, and in fact I've got something on that that's really interesting. So some people short stocks, right? Not something we
explain
do.
that. So you're fundamentally betting on a company doing bad.
You are betting against it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who was shorting NVIDIA.
Maybe they shorted NVIDIA.
You've got to think it's interesting.
Okay.
So this is balance. This is what makes a market.
How does somebody short something? Sorry.
So you'd be betting against it.
Just betting.
So you would be expecting that you would be predicting
that it's just going to go down.
Often by an option that this share price is going to fall.
Yeah.
Over this period of time.
Yeah.
And some were. So $3 billion in paper losses on the day after earnings day.
Can I just ask one quick question before we get into it? Can you also short a stock from if you own a lot of shares in it and then you just sell them off for a cheaper price, or is this?
No, shorting really is betting against it. The big thing about shorting is it carries a huge amount of risk because often you'll have to take leverage.
Your multiples
you'll have to borrow to short it.
You think you're down like $1,000, then suddenly you're down 15 grand, and
Absolutely.
then suddenly
or $3 billion. In this case,
whoever's taking damn, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. It might not be a lot of people, but it's certainly a lot of money. It might be big institutions or hedge funds who just think the trajectory of NVIDIA has been like this.
It's too much.
It can't keep that going. I mean, it can evidently. But that it's not like it was. It's not like it was a stupid idea.
And I really think it can continue to. Well, it won't drop. I can't see it dropping because of the infrastructure, like you said, that they have. It's now a servicing
one big thing that kind of gives me a bit of concern about it is just that with AI being such a
topical
theme and such a. There's such euphoria
press-worthy.
About it. It's such a big thing.
Talkable, topical, and even NVIDIA's name when it's
you need these chips to run AI.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, but when something's so talked about, it's so hyped, it's become part of hype Instagram page is would talk about it. And you're like, well, when it's crossed over,
So one would also, it's not even that. It's the concern I would have is when something is so hyped. What if somebody like Microsoft is so concerned that it is so important that they're over ordering, and this is a concern that some of the negative analysts put in, that are lots of them over ordering.
Well, doing what
have
during
a load
COVID, the backlog.
Now, have a load of chip stock, and if it doesn't turn, then
send them back.
Yeah. But Jensen tackles that in his call.
But chips are always getting better and faster and stronger, and people are always buying new ones because technology is always getting more, and we need more chips because of technology. AI is growing. We're still at the start of it. We're gonna need more for it. We're gonna need more powerful ones
almost being
as
perpetual.
that becomes more powerful. So they're only going to make more powerful ones. And then they're going to have to continue buying them anyway. So I can see it
he did
in a nice way.
Yeah.
I do think I'm maybe one of the more people that kind of, I have an iPhone, I try and hand it in and get a new one and get my extra little bit of money.
And I've still got my 3 iPhones on the side of my bed.
And then Curtis is somebody who's probably got like 5 laptops at home, 3 iPhones, an iPod. But that's more, Curtis is more the world.
Yeah.
So the chips are sat there doing bugger all.
Yeah.
But it still means there's going to be new chips bought.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
And that's development. That's true. Yeah.
A bit scary.
Faster, smarter, stronger, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And AI is driving that, obviously. Yeah. It's fascinating. It's a story that can continue potentially.
I think it's going to be a crazy story moving forward. And the one thing, even Microsoft or people like that, they're like, okay, well, why, a bit like Amazon, why are we giving it to somebody else to do? We could do a better job. When do all these companies go, okay,
and that's
we need to, how can we show growth or keep more money or spend money because we need to do R&D this year, whatever it may be. It's let's do our own. There's that, they've got enough money to do it.
But then again, it's
the best start now. Then really,
it goes back. I guess the infrastructure is that tight now with NVIDIA in terms of where they put themselves, and there are others. But it is a little bit like the EV story, I guess. If you look at where Tesla went versus where all the others went, which kind of disappeared, frankly, like Rivian until BYD came in, Rivian and all the rest, kind of thing. Because they there was another story with it, which was auto driving, Elon Musk.
Burning the cars in San Francisco.
That kind of stuff.
It's not looking good for some people.
It's the other stories with it. I think that's what kind of drives it forward.
Okay.
It's really interesting.
It's got something on the up and coming. There is.
I want to talk about Curtis a little bit, just quickly. There's a pre-story into story of the LYFT mistake. But there was a story before that. Okay. Husband, wife's chatting. Husband buys 46,000 shares in truck stop and travel company called, what was it? Travel Centers of America. Heard the wife talking about it. BP were talking about inquiring and kind of obviously acquiring all of it. And anyway, they did. The stock went up 71%. Then the husband offloaded all of the shares. Didn't tell the wife.
Wow.
Okay. Crazy.
As BP bought the stock for 1.3 billion. And made 71% offload it. But then got the email from the SEC.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can just envision him with a cup next to the door, just being like, "What's going on? What's going on?"
Absolutely. Yeah.
The point is, the overall story is, okay, LYFT making their mistake and putting the extra zero and... At what point does that get... I haven't heard any investigation or any fines or any... obviously he's come on...
I looked into it.
He's taken
full
slap on the
responsibility.
wrist.
CEO jumped in front of
He
it.
said the CFO is completely safe. It's not his fault. It's all my fault. And he said other businesses should take a leaf out of my book or page out of my book and take responsibility.
I think the big thing there, wrong. Obviously, that was corrected pretty quickly.
Yeah,
because the stock went parabolic.
Is it because it was spoken about immediately? It was addressed immediately. It was addressed in the right order. The CEO spoke about it. It wasn't like a backdoor. We're going to try and hide.
It was addressed. It was addressed within hours, and it was.
Will people have made money from it?
Yes, people made a hell of a lot of money from it.
I'm not sure.
Because if they knew and then sold it like that, yes, they could have.
Done.
But
because
it was a mistake.
If I saw a normal stock go
actually,
up
no, because it was outside of hours, wasn't it? So although the stocks. I don't know. Potentially could have done, actually, depending on where it was traded. But it was, they announced after hours, if I remember rightly, and stock went crazy because of the extra zero.
Crazy.
And then within whatever time scale it was, a matter of, it can't have been more than an hour, I don't think, maybe, or even a couple.
It was fast.
It come back. So I'm not convinced anyone made a great deal of money from that. Could be proven wrong.
So it was kind of a bit sad for him as a CEO because he was really happy that LYFT reported 1.2 billion in revenue, so in their fourth quarter, so they increased by 4%. They were actually doing really good, and he was even going about the Taylor Swift approach. Like anybody that went to a Taylor Swift concert, getting a car, they tip more to their drivers. Everything was really positive, and he had to come on and talk.
Do you know what? You make a good point.
The negative point. It removed a lot of
and they have been under the cosh. Because Uber have been they are flying. I still think Uber is the winner of that game.
Any chance it could have been a publicity stunt?
It's too
much of a risk.
That's just a big...
I'm completely just talking outside the box.
Risk,
doing the Simpsons one.
It worked. Outside the box here.
It worked.
It bloody worked. That's all I'm saying.
On CNBC, and if they've got a while.
And if they've not actually got in trouble for it, great publicity stunt.
It's an error.
Well done, guys.
It worked.
Well
just
done.
Clarify,
Congrats.
We won't be doing that in our company.
No, definitely not. No,
absolutely not.
I mean, definitely can't now we spoke about it.
But coming back to like the inside trading and stuff like that, I think because the way that it was addressed, obviously it was very open, very clear that the correct order of kind of process happened. And they realised, bloody hell, our stock's doing great. What's happened?
And it wasn't
checking the information no, we've messed up straight away.
It couldn't have been an insider trading bit anyway because it was an earnings number. It was done after hours. You know, it would have been So, I mean, it's a really bad one if that's what they were trying to do.
But just picture the person that first saw it wrong.
Oh my word.
Well, when he was speaking on live
the person
TV,
that
he said,
put it in the
I
report.
realised.
Ouch. Yeah, big ouch.
Sweat dripping.
Another reason why it won't happen is happily say, even though we don't have that kind of revenue stream, that our accounting section, I think, is significantly smarter than that. Wouldn't make that error.
What we like.
We'll take that.
Yeah, that's a big mess up. Okay, one fun thing was the lottery winner that thought they won like £2.50. They actually won 61 million. So they were one of the couples.
We've all done that. It's an easy mistake.
One of the couples to win like 120 million.
I did have a go on the lottery and won £30 the other day.
Wow.
I'll have to say, yes.
Do you do the lottery?
Every once in a while, I give it a go. And do you want to know?
Did you do it after hearing the story?
Actually, do you want to know one of the reasons why?
Yeah,
one of the reasons why.
Direct debit.
Every week?
It's direct debit.
Yeah.
Every week.
How much do you spend on lottery?
Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, because I mean, if you come up and you win, then
Less than I spend on a Starbucks, which
Yeah.
I've given up for Lent, by the way. But yeah.
How's it going? You've not drank one at all.
No,
I think I bought you one the other
I
day.
think I did.
didn't
Okay. I think so. But yeah, that's a few quid a week.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Wes, as a wealth manager,
Yeah.
we've walked in, we've won 61 million. Well, what's the first thing you do? What do you recommend to somebody like that? Especially if somebody who's maybe not come from money. Like, how
Yeah.
do you break that down?
And I'm not avoiding answering the question, and I won't. But it is one of those things, and this is why kind of what we do is so important, I think, and so relevant, is it's so dependent on the set of circumstances.
Yeah.
And
Can I
that's
just
not
throw one stat in there?
go.
Most people that win the lottery is about 3 to 5 years after they actually end up depressed, and that's why I think somebody like you, as a wealth manager,
Depressed.
is what people
we
need
do
in them
have
scenarios.
we do have clients that are full lottery winners and done that obviously previously.
Not 30 quid.
They won a bit more than that. Yeah.
Slipped
Like
on
a
the
couple extra
zero.
zeros there.
Yeah, a couple of zeros. And I think it is so circumstance dependent, and that's not just now.
Yeah.
It's the whole, it's really then, it's obviously hugely life changing. An amount like that as well, there's loads of things that you wouldn't consider, because all of a sudden it's not just about kind of, I'll buy this house, I'll get this house for the kids, I'll pay their mortgage off, I'll finish work, and all that kind of stuff. It's, if people know you have that amount of money, it's not just I'll buy this house.
They went public, didn't
What
they?
kind of security are you going to have in that house?
Yeah.
Have you got children? Have you got grandchildren? It's horrible to think about it, but you do have to.
Yeah.
And it really is that kind of the world that we're in. Sadly.
And the
You have to
pressure
think
of
about
people
that.
starting to come and ask now.
Absolutely,
you've come
yeah,
into this
yeah.
luckily,
Yeah.
I'm short on money. Can you
And
give
do you
me
know
this?
what? You might want to do a bit of that.
Yeah.
But again, it's having,
Smart.
trusted somebody to bounce stuff off. That is that the right thing to do? If you want to help someone, help them, give it to them.
Can you
with
invest?
that kind of money.
You can invest lottery winnings.
Of course.
Yes. Yeah. It's yours.
It's tax free when it comes to you, but ultimately, absolutely.
Not like in
of course
America,
are.
you have to pay your tax, don't you?
Ouch. Yeah. Well, mind you, you've still got it. If you pay
I was
tax,
gonna say,
it means you've got it.
If you're winning
But
that Powerball of 1.2 billion, I don't mind, AJ.
So from a wealth management sake, it's all around what kind of, it's life changing. So if you ask them the week before that what the future looks like, the types of thing they want to do, whether you call it finish, retirement, whatever, the kind of things you want to do in the future now, going forward, it'll look very different.
Yeah.
Having had that, but it's still the same conversation,
Yeah,
because ultimately that is then they are literally obviously set for life, can set the families up for life, can set other people up for life, can create businesses. So it's around kind of the circumstances they have, what's really important to them, what kind of things do they want to do, and then bringing it back from there. So is it generating income, and there's obviously huge tax considerations, inheritance, and all different things to consider. So you'd have to draw all that in before then even looking at kind of what you do with that capital to make sure you can match all that up.
So would you be saying, like, let's say in this case they've won 61 million. Okay, they buy a house for 4 or 5 million. They buy the kids a house for $1 million each. But investment wise and stuff like that, is it more so about your approach to them would be like thinking about the things that they maybe wouldn't have thought about? Like you said, okay, you did it publicly. Yeah. Everybody knows your name. Therefore, they probably know where you live. Security. Like, is it more so thinking about the things that they would be so happy that they've won it? They haven't, not thinking, not sensibly, but they've maybe been naive to the situation that's a lot of money to a lot of people in a bad way as well.
Yeah, definitely. And there is actually a thing called, we've did a bit of work on it, called sudden wealth syndrome. And there is something around that, as exactly as you pointed out, that it can get it's very difficult.
Very
it's
lonely.
A difficult thing to manage.
Different.
It's very stressful. It's a different kind of stress, obviously. But it is, to having no money and struggling. But it is still brings a huge amount of stress with it because of all those ancillary things. Not to mention, the worry of this is sudden, this is not expected. Never thought you'd have this in a lifetime or a million lifetimes, let alone one.
Maybe ain't used to actually.
How do we make sure we don't
managing it.
mess this up?
Yeah.
That element of it is really difficult to manage too.
Because I assume, on something like that, your outgoings become in the hundreds of thousands if you're buying a big expensive house, if you're giving your kids a house, if you start getting nice
No,
cars,
you'd be
if
buying
you
it
start-
outright. Like,
But is that obvious though? Is that obvious? Because I think that's a really interesting point, because I don't think that is that obvious. If you're somebody that's used to doing what they're doing, you know, from my experience and having these kinds of conversations, is, you know, with that kind of money, I think what I've heard before in terms of conversations, you know,
because you've dealt with more so people selling companies for large amounts. Haven't
Yeah,
you? So they understand larger numbers usually.
but also meaning more specifically to a lottery win, where they're not used to those kind of money, those kind of sums, means that, do you know what? Bearing in mind we're up in Stoke as well. That house, so my dad's going to buy me that house, which is 450k, and they've won 60 million, 70 million, because that is $1 million. That's always been $1 million times away from where they can see. And like I don't think there's not an automatic lifestyle creep if you're used to managing your money to where you are and the lifestyle and who you are and your family is. You don't automatically jump to a couple of $100,000 a month.
Yeah.
It's more, I'm happy as I am kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then,
I'm not looking at
what
the
the hell
price
do I
of
do
the
with this?
coffee.
You know,
Yeah.
there will be a bit of that, obviously, but I don't think it's so obvious that there's an automatic jump to that lifestyle creep. It's more nuanced than that, I think, particularly if people are not used to it. They won't automatically jump to the 4 or 5 million
Yeah.
like we would, maybe. We'll think of. No, it's
Yeah.
I'll let you know when I win next week. all
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
No, yeah, especially if you're
230 quid.
Yeah.
like they I don't know how they look more 50s or something. Like they're in their house. They're
settled. Their families are what
fine.
they are. Yeah, they have a lifestyle.
I don't have to look at the bill when I pay for my Tesco bill now.
They have
more
routines.
so.
Yeah, absolutely. We can go out for a nice meal. You know, that'll be the thought. That's the thought process I've come across with those kind of situations, which is really interesting. It's absolutely fascinating. It's not
Not what you think it'd be.
Yeah, your automatic thought is definitely the right automatic thought, but it's not real in terms of
And I
the way
suppose
people
unless you
react
are
to
in that
things.
situation where you come into such wealth at the click of a finger, you really just don't know, do you?
No, exactly.
Until you are in that situation,
Yeah,
you don't
that's
know
right.
what
You're dead right about it being different for a business owner, because you might be building for that.
Yeah.
So you've
got an opportunity like, okay, I'm going to sell it for 7-8 figure sort of big numbers. You've always had that dream, like
correct. And actually, if you got a wealth manager that's any good, they'd have been helping you to plan for that, because you know that's coming and you're building for that exit. Whereas the sudden wealth is a very, very different set of circumstances. Yeah. Interesting nuance.
A fun set and a unique set.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
just be focused on like, well, what's the drawdown scenario? Wouldn't it be like, well, if it's all invested, 4% is drawdown.
Imagine that.
Rest, so you don't have to worry.
But you've got to think about tax and trusts and the future tax and setting things up and stuff for the children, the grandchildren. There'll be charity giving, no doubt in that. So there's quite it's quite a complex situation to put together.
They've gone home that, oh Christ, headache now.
Wish you never done.
Good headache.
Very good headache.
Actually, I wanted to throw up on a bit of future tech. I like to always bring in a little bit of tech. The Samsung Ring, I've not got much on it, but I just want to let you know. It's basically what we're all wearing now, an Apple Watch and a Whoop. It's basically, it tracks your health, tracks your sleep, and tracks...
It's not got either on.
Oh, where's come on, catch up with the times, mate. Like you're playing that. So the Samsung Ring's going to be out at the end of the year, and it's a bit of future tech, which if anybody's interested in health and fitness, that is a new thing that you can wear 24/7.
I did see it actually. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Never not like if you're an actual gym goer, you can't wear a ring. You do a pull up, you do a deadlift, you hold a weight. You just can't wear a ring.
Interesting point, because
it is true.
I only do mine at home, as you know, but I always take this off.
Yeah,
and put it at the side.
I have to take mine off if I'm doing weights.
I never thought of that. It's obvious, isn't it?
So you've just floored my idea. We'll just scrap this out of the podcast. This is
it made
crap.
of rubber?
Yeah.
But it just doesn't
If it was made
fit
of
into a lifestyle.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. For the reasons of what it is, you've actually just you've killed that.
Each week Kurt comes with something.
And
that's
like,
Neuralink.
I like it.
Stop it, guys, because the Neuralink is happened and somebody's had their first implant and it's gone successful. I believe they can type without typing now.
Oh, not that one. No, the guy's just like,
Yeah.
Oh, have you seen that? I've seen that
slow
video.
motion.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
With all this
If
thing
you're
on
not
his
watching,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just like
yeah.
he's staring into midair. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
supposedly touching on his skull, so the vibrations is
Yeah.
what's transferring through to his brain.
Guys, we're only on episode 3 here. I'll come up with some
but he
content
doesn't-
at one point. I
Keep
promise
going.
you.
It doesn't look very
It certainly
stylish.
deserves a special feature.
Yeah.
You know, Kurt's future.
Of crap tech.
Future tech with Curtis,
Hey, we'll all be laughing. in 20
undermined
years,
by
won't
Wes
it?
and AJ.
Every time.
Oh gosh.
Very good.
Oh, it's another episode 3 wrapped up there
Yeah, it's a
for
good
Money
one.
Talks.
There you go. Yeah.
It's been awesome. No,
Thanks for
thank you very much for listening and watching. Please comment, leave any questions in the bottom little area because it does help us and helps other people find us as well. I never introduced our names. I realise this now. We're episode 3 in.
We know.
Yeah. It's AJ here.
Noted it
Wes
down.
Wilkes, Curtis Pritchard. Thank you very much, and we're excited because episode 4 will be coming out very soon.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys. Awesome.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Nice.
I enjoyed that.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah, really good points.
Different place recording as well. Eh? Your place, AJ.
Oh yeah, this is my flat as well.
It's pretty cool.
Feel
Change
at home.
scenery.
Yeah, change the scenery.
I mean, you could have moved the box out the back there. Eh?
Nobody can see that.
Oh, sweet.
What box?
Yeah.
Nobody can see that.
Ignore that.
I don't know. I'm gonna kill the record.
That's it. Crawl under the table, AJ.